We are live. We are live, and I'm coming at you with five. Welcome to another edition of Gavin Richard Presents, only here on YouTube on channel GBoo2786. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you all are doing blessed and safe this evening. Just give us a few moments. We're waiting for Dr. Richard, aka Dad, to show up. Just give me a moment and we'll begin. I have some stuff that we're going to go over that I want to share with everybody. So it's going to be interesting conversation. My father has stuff that he wants to share with everyone, some things that he's written. So I want you all to just check it out, please, and give us that thumbs up, give us a like, give us a share. Let us know what you think. We'll be beginning soon. So let's see who we got in the chat. We got a few people that have said something. Of course, somebody's going to point out the obvious reference. Yes, Blueberry 40. Don't you look just like your daddy? Tell me something I don't know. You know, if I had $1 for every time somebody said that, by now I'd be a trillionaire. So, y'all hold on a second, okay? I'm going to try and get him in. All right. Yeah, Dad, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Dad, before, how you doing? Guys, this is the first time I've had a family member on the show, so please welcome my father, Leon.
Hello, everyone.
Dr. Leon Richard, community. Yeah, we're still waiting for a few more people to get in, Dad, but I want to go over a video first that you can see on the screen from where you are.
Okay.
This video that we have is from 11 Alive out down in Atlanta. This is about the police shooting of Rayshard Brooks, and they've been reporting that officers have been having call outs, basically refusing to show up from work. And I want to play that for everybody right now. So
there are reports of police walking out, also efforts to help morale with APD.
Right. We saw all of that play out on social media, despite multiple calls to APD today, asking them
can
questions
anyone hear?
about where they stand as far as
Yes.
personnel. They still haven't clarified exactly what's going on in the department. We're asking, what's the conversation going to hold? Do they have enough officers for tonight? And what's going on? Did the officers who didn't come in yesterday, have they quit? Again, they're not answering those questions as of this afternoon. But while we wait for those answers tonight, our reporting is showing some serious issues that happened last night. Dead silence for long periods of time Wednesday night on Atlanta Police Radio.
Any unit that is clear and copy of 69 at 135 University Avenue Southwest.
Code 69. That's a call about a person with a gun on University Avenue. And still no response on the police radio. But then this, around 12:57 a.m.
We have an honorable alarm at 1101 on Leon Avenue and the intoxicated person at 880 Brewery Street.
It was the second time the operator had asked for an officer to respond. And finally, this.
We are not answering 911 calls right now to the personnel issue. If you can reach out to other zones, I will, to have them assist with our pending.
Receive there. Up for units also. The cameras for the precinct.
But on social media, Atlanta police maintained that suggestions that multiple officers from each zone had walked off the job were inaccurate. They confirmed that a higher than usual number of police officers called out from their shifts. And the mayor was on CNN saying it was all under control.
Our streets won't be any less safe because of the number of officers who called out.
The personnel issues came just hours after 2 Atlanta police officers were charged in the shooting death of Rayshard Brooks at a Wendy's drive-thru. The police foundation said on Monday morale in the Atlanta Police Department is low, and officers feel they're being scapegoated. As of Thursday afternoon, neither the police department nor the city had explained exactly what happened and the plan for safety moving forward. Atlanta City Council President Felicia Moore is concerned.
Certainly worries me because, police officers are sworn officers, and one of the things they're not supposed to do is to have personnel actions like this, which are likened to sort of a strike, because public safety is so important. And when people call 911, particularly in a dire situation, they certainly want somebody to respond. And so it does worry us.
And we sent that audio call from the radio traffic to APD to respond to that, specifically the fact that they said that we're not responding to calls right now due to personnel issues. They still haven't responded to our request for comment. Meanwhile, you heard the mayor and APD have said that other police departments are standing by across the metro to help them should they need help. We reached out to a lot of Metro Atlanta police departments, and this afternoon they're telling us that that request has not come in just yet.
All right, will be interesting to see what happens, especially in those specific zones in Atlanta tonight. Faith, thanks a lot.
All right, and okay, so that's one video, but I also want to play this one. These are actually the 911 calls that are going in. So you guys hit that Cash App, please. Gavin Richard Esquire, to donate to the channel, subscribe.
And the intoxicated persons at 880 Brewery Street.
We're having our units come back to the main. We are not answering 911 calls right now due to personnel issues. If you can reach out to other zones, I will, to have them assist with our pending.
Receive, yeah, they're strapped for units also.
See, due to safety issues, I'm having my units make 16G.
Receive. For the precinct. $3608 and $3610. Are you still out on College, or are you heading to the precinct?
Still going to be out on College, but we're heading back to the G.
Receive.
Again, all zone 6 units, just get your the POVs when you get over here. Staying in uniform. Get the POV and head over either to the church parking lot or the library.
Okay.
1691.
Okay, now there we go. Guys, there's Dad. How you doing tonight, Dr. Richard?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm okay. So seeing the video of the police call outs that have been going blank, also seeing the video of the news report earlier that there were police officers not responding even to 911 calls or to their zones. What do you make of that in the current state that we're in?
Well, I think that for the most part, it was usually to let the administrators of the city of Atlanta know that they're trying to support the two officers that were held accountable and charged with the death of Rashad. And I think that these are people who have no idea of what people are going through, and they should not be protesting by staying home. They took an oath. They're getting paid. They should be on the front line dealing with these 911 calls and helping people as they have promised. I think it's a waste of time for them to be out sick when they're not. And I think there should be disciplinary actions towards them to let them know that this is not right. This is not par for the course.
Yeah. During this time, I mean, you've been around for
Yeah.
well, you're obviously older than me, but well, you've been around. I'm gonna just say you've been around for a while, Dad. You've seen have you seen anything like this? What we're seeing in this country with the riots and protests?
I've seen the riots in Los Angeles, Watts, Chicago. I've seen the riots after Dr. King was killed. And I've never seen such a movement of such a diverse group of individuals working on the same accord. And that's what's different, that you have young people, you have middle age, you have old people, and they're all saying the same thing. We want justice, we want equality, and we want it now. We don't have time to wait. And I've never seen that, but I'm hopeful that it will continue. But from past experiences, the protests will last for a few weeks and then they'll die down, and nothing or minimal things will be done to promote the justice that we all seek.
Yeah, well, Dan, some of the things I've seen too, as well, is that doing my research, it seems that some of the movements also have been co-opted, especially when you talk about Black Lives Matter. I was doing research on it, and their Black Lives Matter is really, I've done videos on it. I've done this on my podcast, that it specifically mentions, affirming transgenderism and queer folk, but it also, from my reading of it, also craps on the narrative of the nuclear family. And I think that one of the most important things in this movement that should be brought up is the role of the Black man as the father and head of the household. And you being a man of the household for years in our family, what do you think is this? Why do you think there's such negative energy against Black men in this country in general?
Well, it's easy to say. For 400 years or longer, the white man has had all the power and economic power, and he feels that he is superior. And that's the reason why he has taught his children that you are superior to the Black man, the Asian man, the Latino man. You are a superior being. The Indians, you're a superior being, and act like so. And they exhibited that type of prowess, or that type of example from the time of slavery. There are many guys who wanted to take slavery and get rid of it, but at the time it was not fashionable, and white men have always thought that your skin color makes you subhuman, and that is in the heart of these people. And you can't change that heart, regardless of the laws that you make and put on the books, regardless of the consequences that you lay out before them. They will never change. You cannot change the heart of a racist.
Right.
God can do that.
Right. I see, of course, when you talk about that, these Confederate monuments that are coming down across the country and the Confederate flag. The SEC actually earlier today, they issued an ultimatum to the state of Mississippi. Either they change the flag or else they'll lose their championships, meaning that they won't host any more championships. I don't get caught up, me personally, in symbolic victories. And I understand, of course, the history. Do I think Confederate monuments have a place in America? No, of course not. Although, yes, they do document history, and we should teach children history. But obviously, if you have those things on a courthouse where a Black person is going in there to receive justice, a Confederate soldier standing there, we honor these soldiers instead of even a Union soldier should be up there before I think a Confederate soldier, or a World War, or a plaque commemorating World War II. And I've actually veterans, and I've actually seen that in the courthouses that I've gone to across this state, in Franklin, Louisiana, in particular, and also East Feliciana, West Feliciana. As well, that have those monuments. And then topping it off, yesterday I read that the pancake mix Aunt Jemima, which of course is based off of a old racist stereotype. They're removing that brand. Believe it or not, for those that don't know, Aunt Jemima is based off of an old minstrel song, but it was written by a black man. I'll pull that up for you right now. That black man they say it's attributed to him, but I'm going to say he wrote it because, of course, typically it's what happens is that black people who create certain projects and certain things be brands behind certain things. The man's name was Billy Cursons, and he was a black comedian and singer at that time. Born in, actually, he's from Louisiana. He's from Baton Rouge, but he was born, it looks here, into slavery, I believe. Was born in 1842. So at the time, I should say at the time slavery started. But what I thought should happen with the Aunt Jemima brand that everybody is talking about, with Quaker Oats taking it down, and Quaker Oats is owned by PepsiCo. I think that they should give the families of the actresses, the two actresses that have played Aunt Jemima, and one was a woman named Nancy Green, and it was another woman by the name of, let me see if I could pull that up. Well, there were several actresses, but my point being is they actually tried to sue back in 2015, I believe, in back royalties for those families. And we're talking about billions of dollars. It was in 2014. The suit was dismissed in 2015. They sued in U.S. District Court. Let me pull it up for everybody. Guys, like and share this channel, GBoo2786. You see the Cash App logo at the bottom, Gavin Richard Esquire, Google Pay, gavin.grich1@gmail.com. Please subscribe to the channel, and please donate to keep this thing going. Let me just show everybody, first off, hold on a second, the screen I want to share. Give me a second for it. So everyone can actually see what I'm reading from, and that way you'll be able to have an idea of where to go when I'm talking about this. This is right on Wikipedia. And if you can, let me see if I can just focus on the page. Now, let me try and zoom in. So, yeah. So on August 5th, 2014, descendants of Anna Short Harrington filed, that was the other actress, who played Aunt Jemima, filed a lawsuit in the United States District Court of the Northern District of Illinois against plaintiffs Quaker Oats and PepsiCo for $2 billion. The suit, which also named as defendants Pinnacle Foods and its former suitor Hillshire Brands, accused the companies of failing to pay Harrington and her heirs an equitable share of royalties from the pancake mix and syrup brand that uses her likeness and recipes. The lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice and without leave to amend on February 18, 2015. Don't you think, instead of these symbolic victories that we have, that while they may be important, that reparations should also come from it?
Well, certainly reparations should go to the families whose relatives played these characters. Reparations should go to them for making the recipe that has sold billions and billions of dollars. I think if they wanted to be fair and equitable, they would have done that. But I also feel that the reason they're taking the image off the boxes is because of money. It's all runs with money, and they are taking this off so that angry black people will not stop buying Aunt Jemima products. The whole motivation is money. They don't have anything in their heart to say, well, let's make this right for them. It's just like the NFL, and I don't want to sway too far off the subject. The NFL apologized. Why? Because 85% of the players in the NFL are black.
Right.
And they don't want these black players to say, we're not playing. It's a money issue. Always money. That's where they stand out in it. So, to give me a hypocritical apology, I don't even entertain that. To give me a smile and then stab me in the back or talk behind my back, that's the ultimate form of hypocrisy after you've done something. Now, If they want to do more, then give them royalties from the TV royalties. Give them money to better the schools inside the community neighborhoods, inside the inner city. Why hasn't somebody talked about that? Second of all, the NFL is probably the biggest sports attraction in the world. So they have the money. Why aren't there any owners in the NFL that are black? Why aren't there many head coaches in the NFL that are black? It's because they refuse to give up power. And that's what these white men do. They understand two things: power and money. If you cut their power, they're lost. If you don't patronize their businesses, they're lost. You have to hurt them in the pocketbook. You have to stay away from things. Don't buy Aunt Jemima pancake mix. And let's see what happens. This is definitely racism in its highest form, because there is no economic justice for the black man in this country, even after 400 years of building this country up.
Yeah. I didn't even know Uncle Ben is also being changed as well. I don't know about the cream of wheat guy, but I was reading the name. Cream of wheat guy's name was Rastus, and I'm like, damn, it's really old, because I don't know any Negroes named Rastus that are alive. Rastus. Yeah, but I didn't even know about that. But I mean, I would prefer, reparations and economic development for African communities and businesses. And I would advise everyone to read the book Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, as well as Black Labor, White Wealth. There's another book he read, and that documents how businesses, black businesses, not even black businesses, but how black people have worked so hard in this country to build up the wealth of whites. White people only make up not even 25% of the world's population, but they control nearly 3/4 of the world's wealth, or probably more, which just goes to show you who has the power. It's not about the minority; it's about who controls the money.
People are talking about, we want reparations. I'm not. That's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. They're not going to give reparations to all black people for the 400 years of slavery and indignation and inhumane treatment. What I want is for you or them to get out of my way. Do not put stumbling blocks in front of me. Do not redline the district that I'm in, so I have to go to a bank that's going to charge me triple interest. Do not deny me the opportunity if I have the resume that fits the job and I'm good. Do not deny me that opportunity. But what I want is for white people who control the money, who are in a position to move things, to get out of my way, so I can work towards my dream. We have young black children in this country that dream and never fulfill their dreams because there is no justice. We would rather not give our children a golden opportunity to succeed or an opportunity to fail. We don't want to give them anything. And that's why, I say racism, that's why I've chosen to fight racism, because racism is vile. It pollutes everything. It destroys the mindset of generations for generations. There is no justice. And justice is the deliverance and the execution of a non-biased, non-prejudiced, assertive action of assuring that the moral rightness, fairness, and equality of that which is the corrective nature of the law is instituted without haste. And the time for that corrective action is now.
Yeah, but I still think we should push for reparations, especially now is the time, because we have the attention of the world on us. Look, Native Americans have gotten billions of dollars in reparations. The Obama administration had actually approved monies from them. There are also Jewish community have gotten reparations because American companies have benefited from the Holocaust. Well, we had American companies that benefited from slavery, that participated in it. And you also have, let's not forget the Japanese Americans in the 1980s that got reparations. And that was under Ronald Reagan. who was, was a racist president. Everybody talks about Trump, but I mean, Ronald Reagan's policies that he had enacted had crippled Black America from different things. But you mentioned something earlier about getting out of your own way, and you mentioned the banking situation about putting stumbling blocks. Did you know that Chase today announced that they were closing the banks at 1:00 tomorrow because of Juneteenth, which commemorates the anniversary of the freedom of slaves? I know in the courthouse I was at earlier today, the 40th JDC, I was supposed to have a hearing, but they announced that they were closing court as well, which which is all symbolism. But my thing too, I wanted to mention, in reading Dr. Claude Anderson's book, he mentions that in 2000, the Arab community only makes up less than 1% of the population in Michigan. And yet they, in 1 year alone in 2000, and this is an old book, but this was in 2000, they had earned nearly $69 million in 1 year because they had all of the businesses set up, like the gas stations and convenience stores set up in that part of town. And that part of town was the Black area, predominantly Black.
Well, that's what they do. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead and finish.
That's what they do. They'll set up in a Black neighborhood, and when you walk in there, they'll watch you and let you buy stuff, and then we complain about things. My philosophy is, you don't want them in your neighborhood, don't buy anything. They'll quickly get the message. Leave them out. We don't want you here. You can
go ahead and finish.
Because you can't help me. You're going to hire me and pay me minimum wage, make me work less than 40 hours a week, and treat me like crap when I come through the door. Don't buy. I mean, let's get an example. The Montgomery boycott back in the 60s. The buses were losing tons of money because Blacks were not traveling to work on them. They would walk or get rides from other people, but basically they walked, didn't spend their money on the bus. And the city quickly realized that, hey, we're going under. We're not making any money. Same thing with these businesses. Don't buy from somebody that doesn't like you or treats you like crap when you walk in the door. Boycott them. Don't buy from them. These weave stores and hair stores, don't buy from them. Don't buy from them. And it frustrates me to think that righteousness now is in the vocabulary of those causing the injustice. And I'm saddened by the fact that the powers that be, the city, state, and federal government, is of the conviction that all is well when all is not. And to those that hold to this conviction that all is well, I say, according to your convictions and your standards and your thinking, all may seem well. However, your thinking is nothing but a feeble, futile attempt to return to the splendor of maintaining the status quo. You want Negroes to be in their place. That's what you're all upset about. We are moving forward, and you don't like that. I mean, I'm a staunch believer in a man can do what he wants if he's given an opportunity, and Black men can exceed when given an opportunity, and there's no stumbling blocks. So there should not be stumbling blocks in the way of anyone.
Squeaky G is a frequent contributor to the channel. Shout out to him. He says, Fowler is warmed up now. Yes, he is. Ajika Niembo says, hey, good evening. You look just like your dad. I get that too many times. Okay, start giving me some money. I'll be a billionaire by now. Every time you guys say that. Actually, a trillionaire. Blueberry 40 said the same thing. Don't you look just like your daddy? Yeah. Okay.
The underlying issue of this is that racism, pure and simple, is a violation of God's law. It is not of God. If it were of God, it would be for the betterment of all men. And since it's not of God, men, women, and whole families are suffering as a result of this hellish endeavor called racism. It is divisive. It separates men from men. So much so that human beings do not recognize nor do they acknowledge man's coexistence as man. It denies the very involvement of God in the creation of all men as men. And if you look at it, our very existence and survival is dependent on the ability to accept your fellow man as a positive contributor to the coexistence of man. That's what people don't understand. That we will all work for the betterment of society in an effort to ease suffering of man is not a pipe dream. No, it's a fundamental for our existence. To make this world a better objective, a better place, is the objective of the existence of all men. And the problem we have right now is that the President of the United States is so out of tune with the existence of God that he is guilty of not acknowledging the wrong in segregation and the denial of references of equality of man and man's pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, which stands, by the way, as the fundamental basis for independence and formation of this country. So all of you that stand with Trump in this futile attempt to continue to separate and divide this nation are in contempt of the natural order which God has called us to achieve and maintain. That's the thing they don't understand. There is no involvement. And when we see racism, it is our moral obligation to call it out, to fight it, to acknowledge it, and to challenge a racist. It may be scary, but you have to challenge the racist to let him know that this is where you stand and you don't like racism. You know, it is a spirit of destruction.
Okay, let's see. No doubt about that. Let's see. We got some people that wanted to say hello. Marisa, our cousin Marisa says hello to you. Hi, Uncle Leon. I got Lori says hello as well. Our cousin Lori. Hi,
Lori.
Lyrica. And I see my friend Kyle is watching. What's up, Kyle? And I'm sure my girl, I have to say this too, my girl, happy early birthday, Tanisha, my girlfriend. Yeah, I hope you're doing well tonight, dear. She's watching as well. She hasn't texted me yet. But yeah, well, speaking of this, Dad, I wanted to start off, and I don't ask people, I forgot, I usually ask people's credentials first. I didn't do that. You just came in as Dad. But tell everybody what school you went to. And
well, I went to Catholic schools. I went to my basic education formation came from public schools. Mary Dora Coghill, which was an excellent school, excellent principals, excellent staff. I then went on to St. Paul, which we had nuns that were strict in that they wanted us to. They didn't accept a low standard of anything. And then I went to St. Augustine, and that speaks for itself. Our teachers taught us to be men, and they taught us to question when anything is wrong, taught us to make sure that we look ahead and plan where we're going. They taught us to be good students because they didn't tolerate any BS. Then I went to Xavier. I got my degree in biology, went back and got my degree in pharmacy. And I've had 35 years of experience as a pharmacist, including owning 5 drugstores in the city of New Orleans.
Right. Dad, I wanted to mention something too, because some of our listeners who are not from Louisiana, or those that are still, my age, when I mentioned the Aunt Jemima incident, especially the Aunt Jemima issue, I also want to bring up something because we had something similar in Louisiana about Popeyes, like that being a black woman helped create
Yes,
that. I've heard that. What do you know about that?
yes. She worked for Mr. Copeland, Al Copeland, and she perfected the formula for Popeye's chicken. That was done in, I think, believe it, in Araby, right down the road.
No,
So
that's the original Popeyes. That's where it started.
that's correct. That's where it started. And just so you know, the Popeyes on Reed Boulevard, back before Katrina, was the most economic success in the whole world. More chicken and more money was made at that location than anywhere in the entire world.
You're talking about any Popeyes location, not even in Atlanta, Georgia, all of them.
Any Popeyes, it didn't matter.
How,
That little store surpassed everybody in the entire world.
how did you know? How you know all of that?
I read and I talk to people.
But you know people too. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, very interesting though about that information because yeah, it's usually black people that start that. And when you mention about the NFL too, I remember there was a
Yes,
black man. I think it was Robert
yes,
Smith, who's the billionaire, if I'm not mistaken. Or it may have been someone else, but he tried to buy the Minnesota Vikings almost 15 years ago or 16 years ago, whatever, and they sold it to Ziggy Wolf. And even Walter Payton tried to buy or create his own NFL league, and he would have been the first black NFL owner, but they shot it down. I think he was
yeah,
trying to get the Jacksonville Jaguars, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
Yeah.
There have been many attempts to buy NFL teams that have been distorted, or stumbling blocks have been placed in a way, and they make up rules as they go, and then they go into a meeting or they go play golf and they decide what they're going to do. And this is not anything new. And these people have to die out, and younger people have to realize that, okay, why not give this person a chance? Why not have black owners in the NFL? You have to follow the rules. Everybody have to follow the rules. So why not? Because they don't want to. It's as simple as that. They're racist. They like money. And
Well, they like money, yeah.
they're not going to do anything to impede the collection of the ticket or the advertisement. You look at the Saints on a Sunday. How many black folks are in the stands? All those are money. So why are they so gung-ho about making deals? Because of money. It's all about money. And that's racism in itself. Racism was an economic movement. I have to control these niggers so that they can pick my cotton. That's what they wanted. That's what they did. They didn't love black folks then. They don't love, racists don't love black folks now. And those people who do not take action, they are just as guilty, because your lack of action in applying your equalizing strategy that you could to right civil injustice is nothing more than a futile effort of lethargic procrastination of prejudice and racism. And we are just not going to let you get away with that. Racism is the discriminative effort of keeping the righteous suppressed and justice to the righteous denied. Those actions of the racists are a futile effort to delay the inevitable, and they cannot succeed. Whether or not you do succeed, it's not left up to you. That is on the shoulders of justice. And justice has to happen. It has to happen.
Okay. Racism is of the devil. Dr. Richard is on point. Thank you, Squeaky G. Let's see. We got anybody else? Kyle says, hello, Dad. He says, hey, Mr. Leon. He also says he was laughing at that question, that statement I asked you, that question I asked you, and you said, because I read. Lori, our cousin Lori wants to know, what do you think of the strength influence of police unions and the layer of protection afforded to police officers, even in the face of obvious wrongdoing? If I would answer that, Lori, if you check out a video that I did this past couple of nights ago with a friend of mine, Mr. Ken Williams, who is a former Brockton police detective, homicide division, he explained the way that these unions get in power. And why they have so much power is that they know that these blocks, these police officers, number one, of course, they vote normally Republican. They are all very conservative, and they sway a lot of power over the community. And unions basically act as defense attorneys, practically, when you see them on television and so forth. Of course, when you've had all of these protests that are going on with the Rayshard Brooks incident that happened in Atlanta, for instance, you had that police union president, and I can't think of that idiot's name, but I mean, he was literally defending everything that these officers were doing, which was going against the laws of the state of Georgia. He was talking about, well, that's our training. We're trained when you shoot a taser that's a dangerous weapon, but the law says otherwise. It's not a dangerous weapon. So if you're a police officer who's on to uphold the law, how does it look when you don't even know what the hell the law is?
Yeah, yeah.
And then, right, and the other thing too that I want to mention is that these the situation with Rayshard Brooks and George Floyd. I know that you've have personal feelings about it, and I want to ask you about those too. But also, I mean, you've dealt with this before from back in the 70s. Do you have any remembrance of any big police brutality case or something that comes to mind when you were a teenager?
I know when the police busted into the Fisher projects and they shot and killed people. There was seven or eight people that were murdered. It's a horrible thing. I know the police would take horses. They take horses on Mardi Gras, and they used to push them into the crowd. And it's a horrible thing. They do this because racists are evil. They don't care. And you might be a racist some of the time, but you can't be a racist some of the time, and then be God-fearing the other part of the time. That's illogical. And they have racism in their heart. But yes, the 60s were a bad time for Black people, a very bad time. I remember when I made my first communion. This was in the late 50s.
Wait, Dad, stop for a second. You're lagging a little bit. Can you go? I'm trying to think. Can y'all hear? I need to know. Is anybody having any trouble seeing or hearing my father talk? Because he's lagging where I am. Because you're freezing a little bit in and out. Check let's see. All right. Dad, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Am I frozen?
No.
Okay, well, I think this is fine then. But yeah, you were talking about I'm sorry. Okay, we'll start over. You were talking about your first communion?
Yeah, when we made first communion, our group, the Archbishop put the Black kids in the first pews, and the white kids were in the back behind us. Well, several parents took their children out of the church because they did not want them to receive Holy Communion after a Black child. That's just simply racist. That's just racist. You can't tell me that you're gonna sit there and praise God and then come out and call somebody a nigger. And I'll say this also too. When we fought in 2 world wars or 3 world wars, 2 world wars, and the Korean War. When we went, not
the American Revolution as well. I mean, it's from the beginning.
Crispus Attucks was killed first. But what I'm trying to say is, we went to 2 world wars, the Vietnam War, the Korean War. We left with a promise everything's going to be okay, equality for all. And when you come back, the white soldiers would get accolades and have easy access to loans and money and housing. And the Black soldiers did not have easy access to loans and banks and money or housing. And they were still called a nigger. A nigger. And there will always be that. You see, you're talking about these police immunity. bill. You can't sue policemen. It's against the law. They're protected, so they will do everything and anything that they want because they have that immunity. You've got to remove that defensive posture, that protection from them, and then they'll think twice. But you can talk about the training. You can talk about giving them sessions on sensitivity. But if racism is deeply rooted in their heart, it will come out. You cannot deny it. White folks are racist in this society. Some of the police are very racist, and they do not believe in letting the hand to a black folk. Just like the other day, there was a march. People were protesting, walking through a lot, and they had 20 white boys and women lined up with AR-15s and handguns. Now, what would have happened if one of those things would have gone off, or if some black men would have said, "Yo, I'm not going to tolerate this"? They would have pistols and guns.
Yeah.
Pistols and guns.
Well, I've always said that black people need to step their Second Amendment game up because we're starting to see random lynchings as well. Dad, I don't know if you're aware of the lynching that happened in California and New York.
Yes, I am.
Of 2 black men. Also, I found out yesterday that it was one in Hastings County in Texas, I believe in Houston. And today I read that the half brother of the gentleman that was found hanging from a tree in Palmdale, California, he ended up being killed, I believe, in a shootout. Somebody, let's see if we can get that link to that video, to that news article. Hold on a sec. Okay, well, I'm trying to find the article right now. Okay, I'm trying to find the brother's name, but it was Robert Fuller's half brother that was killed.
Yes, I know that. That's a terrible thing.
Yeah, Teron Jamal Boone was the one that was killed in that incident. Yeah.
And we are not a suicidal group of people, you know, and to hang yourself, we would do better taking pills, but we are not like that. And how did he get up there? What ladder did he use? Where's the ladder? Was his hand tied behind his back? You know, this was a racist act, an attempt to scare people. I'm not going to tolerate that. You know, we should know we no longer will be held back by racists that religiously and hypocritically deny our children an equal opportunity to a quality education or our elderly to quality health care. We have to expose racism for what it is. It's a vile expression of hatred from hell. Racism pollutes everything it comes into contact with. And if you don't believe me, you know, read the letter of Willie Lynch of 1712. And it's been used for 400 years to keep blacks in control with the rope and the tree.
Yeah, no doubt. So before we move on and close out, Dad, are there some things that you want to say?
Yes. Use your imagination. Protesters around the country in places that they never would protest before. Thousands of people protesting what happened to George Floyd, which was terrible, and it was intentional. Just imagine if those people would set up voter registration tables. Everybody who comes in there comes to protest, you sign up to register to vote. Look at the future. In November, you would have 180 million people going to the voting polls, all with the same mindset to get Donald Trump and his racist group out of office, to change the face of Congress, to change the face of state, federal, and local municipalities. This should be our objective. And if you don't like what how a person is treating you in a store, leave. Don't buy. Keep your money in your pocket. Don't buy from them. They don't deserve your money. But get people out to register to vote. It would be unimaginable if 180 million people voted for Joe Biden at a time when Trump is telling people he made Juneteenth famous. He made Juneteenth famous.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Joe Biden, I mean, and I'll just say this too, that he's not, I know that people are pushing the vote for him, especially on the Democratic side, because people always say you don't want to see Donald Trump, you don't want to see Donald Trump, but you also have to offer people something to vote for, intangibles. And I don't believe in just voting squarely for somebody out of fear. And that's the problem that I see that the Democratic Party has done, is also, using scare tactics and so forth, I think are dangerous now. And most people are responding to that when we're asking for tangibles and we're asking for certain things. I think that we ought to we have to demand stuff.
Right. You're right.
And let's not forget Joe Biden, the crimes bill. Let's not forget, his sponsors at one point, and we got to mention this, were, Joe Stennis and Strom Thurmond and these guys who were staunch, segregationists that he learned under. So I keep all of that in mind. But, I certainly would just want to vote for someone, if not just out of fear, I need some things, promised from them. And
well, that's your prerogative, son. It's everybody's prerogative. All I'm saying is get out and vote, because that's where change comes from. You must vote. If you don't vote, you have no voice.
Yeah. Well, Dad, one more thing I did want to ask you before we go. What did you think of because your father, my grandfather Anatole Richard, fought in World War II with the Navy, and of course Drew Brees got in trouble because we were mentioning NFL. And you being a Saints fan, what did you think of it?
Well, I believe that Drew Brees should have kept his mouth shut and left that alone. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay.
We lost you on your screen, but yeah, I'm listening.
There you go. Now he should have Drew Brees. People want to say, well, he didn't know any better. Come on, this is not a 6-year-old football player at Pop Warner. This is a grown man. He has seen black people before. He's been around black people before. He didn't realize that black people fought for this country and died for this country. And the fact is, he did not know, or he claims not to have known, that taking a knee when the national anthem is played is showing respect for the flag. Anybody who takes a knee or bows, that's respect. And that's what he failed to realize, that Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for police brutality, not anything against the flag. And Trump played it up. All the congressmen played it up. Everybody did. So Drew Brees should have kept his mouth shut. If he didn't know what he was talking about, he should have read and found out that World War II. You have a grandfather, and I didn't know this. He's deceased, but he had 9 medals that were given to him. 3 were for a marksman, and 3 were for shooting a sniper, and 2 were for hand-to-hand combat. And this is in World War II, and he never talked about it. He never said a word about it. That's the kind of man he was. we have a tendency to easily forget and forgive, which is fine. But when you have a person or persons who repeat the same thing over and over, can't turn the other cheek. You use what is at your disposal to make them pay. Legally, make them pay. And take racism and tell them to go put it where the sun don't shine.
Yeah, well, I felt when he mentioned his two grandfathers having fought in World War II, when he thinks about that, he should know that a lot of grandfathers, including our grandfathers, are World War II veterans. Like you mentioned, and many blacks fought for this country and still do fight for this country. So forth. Well, and anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. We want to thank Dr. Richard for being here on the show. And before I go, I did want to ask you one question. We'll put you on a hot seat that everybody wants to know this one too as well. Chad or Gavin, which one do you prefer?
I have sat up many nights with both of you guys, gone to the hospital many times with you and with Chad. So you're all or both my favorites. I don't have any special son. You're both my favorites. I would lay my life down for you and your brother. That's how special you guys are.
Yeah.
I would fight racism forever so that you won't have to deal with this and your children don't have to deal with it. That's my goal in life, to fight racism and eradicate it, because it is so much a hellish tool used by people to divide communities and keep communities from seeking perfect harmony together as we go through this life.
All right. Well, Dad, thank you very much for joining us. Yes.
More than welcome.
Yeah, but we know I'm still your favorite. Now, anyway, guys, let me just see. Before we head out, we got a new subscriber, Nerds. HK says, even my grandfather, rest his soul, Sylvester Washington. Nice love, guys. Yes, thank you, sister. Yes, they tried to turn the world against Colin and blew up in their face. Priceless. Yes, it has, especially now. And then Godell is talking about he's encouraging the owners to put Colin Kaepernick back on an NFL team. But I mean, he could have done this beforehand. But anyway, guys, this is it for me. This has been another episode of Gavin Richard Presents on my channel, GBoo2786. Please donate to the channel, Cash App, Gavin Richard Esquire, and Google Pay. Subscribe to the channel and share this, guys. I am out. Good night. Thanks, Dad, for joining me.
Thank you, son.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.